Hi bakers, I'm Crystal the Cake Lady, and today I'm going to teach you how I make my homemade marshmallow fondant. Now if you just heard me say the word fondant and you're saying to yourself, I've had that before and I don't really like it, chances are you've only had the store-bought kind with lots of preservatives and ingredients you can't even pronounce. I can't tell you the number of people who have said to me before, you know, I thought I didn't like fondant until I tried yours. What's the difference? Well, mine is made from marshmallows and powdered sugar. Now tell me, what's not to like about that? Let me show you how I make my homemade marshmallow fondant. Here's what you're gonna need. A nice big wide bowl for mixing your fondant in. I'm making a giant batch, so I'm doing 2 10-ounce packages of mini marshmallows. And it's worth mentioning, you should check the date on the mini marshmallows because that's how long your fondant will be good for. 2-pound bag of powdered sugar, a sifter, 2.5 tablespoons of water, shortening to coat your hands with to mix the fondant, and a nice sturdy spatula. We're going to start by adding 2.5 tablespoons of water to our 2 bags of miniature marshmallows. We'll start by microwaving it for about a minute to a minute and a half at full power. Then we'll take it out and give it a quick stir. After a minute and a half, it's starting to get a little bit gooey, so we're going to go ahead and do 30-second intervals until it's all nice and melted. After 4 30-second intervals, it has gotten nice and smooth, just the way I like it. You don't want any lumps, and you'll want to keep on stirring until all of the air bubbles are gone. If you're wanting to dye the whole batch the same color, this is a great time to add your desired color. It's much easier to mix in now than after the powdered sugar has been added. I only use gel food coloring, never liquid, because that could thin it out. Now it's time to sift our 2 pounds of powdered sugar in. It may be tempting to skip the sifting, but don't do it. I promise you'll regret it. I add maybe half at a time and just use my hands to push any lumps through the sifter if needed. Now I'm going to use my rubber spatula and stir the powdered sugar and melted marshmallows together. Once you've incorporated as much as you can, it's time to get your hands a little dirty. Go ahead and liberally coat your hands in vegetable shortening and then knead for about 5 minutes. There comes a point when some lumps from the bottom of the bowl start working their way in, so then you'll need to take it out of the bowl to finish the kneading process. If it's still a little bit sticky, you may want to dust your work surface with fresh powdered sugar. When all of the lumps are gone and the fondant stretches nicely, it's ready to go on a cake. But I do recommend allowing it to cool for a half hour to an hour before putting it on your cake, because if it's too warm, it can tear easily. Now I'm going to show you how to cover your cake in fondant. Now this is something that takes a lot of practice, so if it doesn't come out perfect the first time, don't worry, nobody's does. You're going to start by liberally dusting your work surface with powdered sugar as well as your rolling pin. I like to use fondant that's just a little bit warm, so if it's freshly made, that works out well. Or if it's not freshly made, you can pop it in the microwave for anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds, but kind of keep kneading it to find out when it's the right temperature. Not hot, just a little bit warm. You want to roll the fondant out to somewhere between 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch thick. Don't get it any thinner than that though, because then it'll tear easily. Make sure you've rolled it out wide enough to cover the top and sides of your cake. Then you're going to gently lift the fondant and lay it over the cake. Try to squeeze out any air from the top portion. At this point, the fondant may remind you a little bit of a tablecloth hanging over a round table because there are folds and pleats in it. Basically, you're going to start by working your way from the top down and pulling out from the bottom to smooth out those pleats. Fondant stretches pretty nicely, so you're just going to keep working your way down, and then I employ the use of a fondant smoother. If you don't have a fondant smoother, of course you can just use your hands, but I really like the satin-smooth finish that a fondant smoother leaves. They're available in most craft stores such as Michael's and Hobby Lobby. Then you can use a pizza cutter or an X-Acto blade to trim the excess fondant near the base of the cake. Don't forget you can reuse the excess fondant. Just ball it up and put it in an airtight container for a later use. It's good until the expiration date of the marshmallows, and it doesn't even have to be refrigerated. It is a good idea to keep different colors in separate Ziploc baggies so that they don't bleed onto one another. I like to go around with my fondant smoother one last time, gently pressing the cut edge into the cake for a nice finished look. I hope this video has shown you how simple it is to make homemade marshmallow fondant. You never have to eat that yucky store-bought stuff again. I also hope it's been helpful in showing you how to cover a cake with fondant. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Crystal the Cake Lady. Until next time, happy baking!